This problematic game destroyed the modern audience.
You guys might remember this crazy situation where this game Lords of the Fallen has a subreddit called Lords of the Fallen, and the Reddit
which one was Lords of the Fallen again?
Made this announcement post that reads, "Announcement, all caps, addressing the CEO of CI Games." CI Games is the developers and publishers for this game, Lords of the Fallen. The Reddit mods continue. Addressing the CEO of CI Games' politically motivated agenda. Direct links to X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are no longer permitted. And they made this giant rant, this complete freak out. But why did they do that? Well, allow me to show you that, and then we'll return to this, and I suppose read this for anyone who may be out of the loop on this, and also to get a refresher.
I am out of the loop.
As mentioned like 2 months ago. Oh, also because it's just hilarious to see how terminally online and freaking weird these Reddit mods are, and because this is the context to how the modern audience got destroyed over the last number of days. It's all adding up. We'll get there. And the modern audience Reddit mods over on that subreddit were mad at CEO Marek Tymiński, CEO of CI Games, for making tweets like this, where he says, "In a medieval fantasy action RPG experience, what do you prefer to choose between? We will follow the final results."
Wait, that's
Option
it?
1.
That's all they got mad at? Is they asked what do you guys prefer?
1, body type A/body type B. Option 2, male or female. And option 3, none of the above.
That's it?
With almost 50,000 votes, overwhelmingly male and female.
So they're fascist because of this.
About 2 months later, Marek Tymiński would follow that tweet up with this, saying, "Remember that male/female wins big time with 88% of votes out of nearly 50,000.
Oh, it's because of this. That's why. It's because of this.
DEI agenda lost. The truth wins. If you dispute that, you're in a small minority. Games development needs to stay players."
Okay, he turned it back. Okay, so let's break this down. Remember that male to female wins a big time with 88% of the votes out of nearly 50,000. DEI agenda lost. The truth wins. The truth as in like what people want, right? See, so this is the context. If you dispute that, you're in the small minority. Yup. Game development needs to stay players first, and this is what the players want. What's so bad about that?
And this is the way. So yeah, it's really weird how DI policies enforce things like...
I think the problem is that they said the truth wins. So basically people are using that to say that he hates trans people, is my guess. Because of the part that says the truth wins. I think that's what people are saying.
B, saying that's like somehow more inclusive than simply having male or female. Of course, this all then goes back to things like ESG metrics and ESG funding and all that sort of corpo speak disingenuous nonsense. Some more examples of the sort of polls that Marek Tymiński made that upsets the modern audience are things like this. How should attractive lead male characters look in an action RPG? And then another one saying, should lead video game characters be widely considered attractive/aspirational by the vast majority of players? And this one that says, how should attractive lead female characters look in an action RPG? So then going back to this Reddit post.
See, even that one is like kind of different, right? This one, you've got like a lot more of a difference. It seems that people just don't like the cute and playful, but the other options are pretty split.
How should attractive lead female characters look in an action RPG? So
now, if you ask this question in Japanese...
So then going back to this Reddit post from the subreddit for Lords of the Fallen, where the Reddit mods had this to say. Opening thoughts. The CEO of CI Games, Marek Tymiński, is actively supporting and promoting fascist ideology.
Cute and playful isn't the target audience for this game. Yes, true. Very true.
For the guise of catering to the player base. To which even the top comments in this post were calling out mods for being terminally online.
Yeah, like, it depends on the genre of the game, right? Like if the genre of the game was like a farming simulator, you'd probably want something a little bit more cute, right?
Freakazoids, for example, this one saying the irony is palpable.
It's almost like you should look at your target audience and your demographic before you make a game. Isn't that crazy, guys? Isn't that freaking crazy? No, you gotta understand like who buys your game and like try to cater to the people that buy. No way.
You're seriously culling moderators and centering discussion because of a perceived political motivation. You don't realize that it's your own political agenda making you take these actions. It's just a game. It's not that deep. We're going to return to that Reddit post from the mods because the whole thing is just insane, and that was only the tip of the iceberg. But I do kind of want to skip ahead a little bit now, just give you the current news, which is, once again, the modern audience getting destroyed. Because as we can see yesterday on April 20th, Marek Tymiński had this to say about his game, Lords of the Fallen. 10,000 concurrent players, 18 months after launch. Just a week ago, it was around 500 players. So going from 500 players a week ago to now over 10,000 concurrent. This means the world to us. Thank you to everyone who believed, supported, and stuck with us. We'll never stop showing up for you. Now, the fact is, a few days ago, they released their 2.0 patch. So that's definitely having an effect on the increased player count. But the other fact is that it wasn't just Reddit mods, but modern audience types in general, all across other subreddits and Twitter too, that were trying to slander this game, that were trying to like smear this game, insult this game. You could even like say trying to cancel this game basically because of the stuff that Marek Tymiński was saying on his Twitter account, which once again was simply things like, which one do you prefer? And those freaking weirdos are like, that's fascism. And so yeah, their attempts to damage this game have failed. The game has gone from around 500 concurrent players to over 10,000 concurrent players and getting tons of support and top comments like this one. You know, no offense, but I didn't think much of your game at first. I've been kind of burned out by Souls-like and didn't see too much that appealed to me. But you took a stand to actually support what your audience wants and to take care of your customers, even if that means you get hate from a loud but irrelevant group. So I bought the game last night because the industry needs more people like you.
The thing is a lot of gamers are sick and tired of this shit. They're sick and tired of companies making games for, you know, there's like, for instance, like the demographic for like, you know, a game like a Souls-like, right? Like you take that demographic of people, or like any game, really, any game, you take the demographic of like the people playing a game, and people are sick within that demographic not being catered to when they're the main core audience that purchases the game. They're sick and tired of them catering to like this small minority of people that don't even really like those kind of games. So it's really like comparatively a handful of people being upset about it, and then just they're fully catering to those people. And it's like gamers are tired of it. They're like, you know, we want the games how they used to be, when like we didn't have to deal with any of this, like this kind of messaging. And, you know, they want to feel like the developers are listening to their concerns and actually care about what they care about. The idea that the company doesn't give a fuck about you but buy the game is really demoralizing, and it's grating. And people are tired of supporting that kind of thing. So when you see a game developer saying like, listen, we care about what you think, you're our target audience and you're the ones that we're developing this game for gamers who have been kind of shafted and sidelined for so long, it's like music to their ears to hear that. And that's why people are willing to support it, right?
Another one saying, well deserved. I'm not a huge Souls-like fan due to how punishing the genre can be at times, but this feels like an excellent medium. Beautiful world, crisp gameplay, and the punish/reward ratio feels excellent.
Thanks for the follow.
Is a huge plus. Really enjoying it. Okay, now with that quick context, quick overview of how Marek Tymiński had upset people and how the patch 2.0 for Lords of the Fallen is still a massive success despite the modern audience's anger. Well, now we're back over on Reddit, and here's another example of their anger really quick. So this post, for example, from Gaming Circle Jerk saying, Lords of the Fallen Studio CEO is a chud. Oh no, guys, they're calling him a chud. What's he gonna do? The context for that, what's got them upset this time, is Pirate Nation saying, Lords of the Fallen.
That's like almost a compliment now, honestly.
Studio CI games will not integrate DEI elements in their games. And Marek Tymiński saying, exactly, no, we will not. The post getting mad at him and calling him a chud because of that, getting over 2,300 upvotes. But now let's return to the peak brain rot, which was the Lords of the Fallen subreddit itself and the mod team for the Lords of the Fallen subreddit, denouncing Marek Tymiński and calling him a fascist. So we read the title and we read the first paragraph of this already, to which, as mentioned, they accuse him of promoting fascist ideology because of those polls. And then they have this to say. In response to all that stuff, we have removed all CI games.
The sad thing is, this is creating a situation where if they say this game promotes fascist ideology, it's almost like, wow, the game's probably good then. It's like, it's creating such a bad fucking standard, actually, because it means nothing now. When they say that a game promotes fascist ideology, it means literally nothing in terms of like negativity, because all they do is attach that slogan to any game that disagrees with them. So now when people hear that, they're like, oh, so you mean it's a based game then, and it's going to be fun? Like, it's like
Hexworks officials from the moderation
it's ridiculous.
Team. According to my recollection, Hexworks is the dev studio, but that's owned by CI Games. So continuing. However, we want to make it clear that those removed are on.
Can't wait for the tweets of Leaflit. Leaflit loves fascist games. Can't wait for that. Yeah.
And decent individuals, and we have nothing but respect for them. Every interaction we've had with them since the game's launch has been nothing short of extraordinary. Unfortunately, this decision affects the wrong people. Our concerns are directed solely at the CEO.
Get you an article on Vice. I saw that Vice article about Kirsha.
One else.
I didn't read it though,
over the past several weeks and months, we have seen a significant increase in hate speech, misconduct, and violations of etiquette whenever content from these platforms is shared. Additionally, we have experienced an influx of users spreading fascist views, both on the subreddit and via ModMail. Let us be clear. We do not tolerate any violations of our behavioral rules, nor do we condone or support fascist ideology. Anyone engaging in such misconduct will face a permanent ban. You can find our subreddit's rules here or in the sidebar. Why are we banning these platforms? While the rise in misconduct related to X, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is a key factor, there are additional reasons for this decision.
Oh no.
X, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram now require a login to view content, making it inaccessible to those without accounts. The spread of misinformation. These corporations have actively enabled fascism, removed fact-checking measures, censored certain keywords from search algorithms, and silenced communities while allowing harmful rhetoric to thrive, and incitement of violence. How will this work? Any direct links to X, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, whether in posts or comments, will automatically be removed. What about screenshots from these platforms? After consideration, we have decided not to allow screenshots from these platforms either. What's next? These new rules take effect immediately. Alternatives to X/Twitter?
Blue Sky.
If you have any suggestions for improving this process, feel free to share them in the comments or via MobMail. Additionally, if any
I feel like all the people that move on to Blue Sky, they never stick it. They either like go on Blue Sky and they have both a Blue Sky or an X, or they go back to X.
From other subreddits would like access to auto moderator scripts we've written, we are happy to share them. Simply contact us via ModMail. Aren't these Reddit mods great? They're truly making the world a better place, guys. How virtuous they are. The Lords of the Fallen mod team.
I'm not going to glaze X so far as to say that it's not toxic. I have seen a lot of toxicity on X. I'm going to be 100% real with you. I've definitely seen vile tweets on X, okay?
E. We would like to clarify.
Let's not pretend it doesn't happen.
From the mod team. They are still welcome to post on the subreddit, including patch notes.
It is the internet, after all.
And engage in meaningful discourse with the community.
Free
this
speech platform.
To them. As stated in the post, this decision is not about developers, but concerns the CEO. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what this hyperlinks to, where they say the CEO of CI Games, Marek Tymiński, is actively supporting and promoting fascist ideology under the guise of catering the player base. This goes to x.com.
No matter how you slice it, it's Twitter or Blue Sky, the internet's a toxic place. It just depends on the flavor of data. That's true. That is very true. Did you know how bad Blue Sky is? Mark Hamill, one of the most left-leaning celebrities on the internet, got chased off of Blue Sky for he promoted King of, oh, that's right, because he plays Herod in King of Kings. Oh my God, dude. Wait, Mark Hamill goes on Blue Sky to promote him voicing in King of Kings. He plays as Herod, by the way. The guy who kills a bunch of babies. That's who he plays as. And they drove him off of Blue Sky? Tazo just has never seen any of that. We got any evidence?
Hold on.
Which is basically just a mirror of his Twitter account, but not on Twitter, instead on xcancel.com. Taking a look at some more of the comments, we've got, do these particular Reddit mods have any clue as to what being a Nazi or a fascist has historically meant? I suggest a bit of introspection on their part. Well, you clearly have no clue what fascism is. If you mods are so offended by a decision, why not just resign from your position? Let other people take your place. Responses to that, because they lose any sense of a power trip they have in their life. Other comments such as, I'm sorry, what? This is so redundant and pointless. How about turning over moderation duties to someone else then? Why don't you just shut down the Reddit then? Oh, I think I know why. Okay, and now one more example of angry people mad at Marek Tymiński and CI Games, this time a gaming journalist over at PC Gamer referencing Hill, who I believe is the marketing director for CI Games.
Yep.
And he made a statement similarly also saying like, hey, we're not going to use DI policies for our game at our company. And PC Gamer had this to say. Hill didn't explain how exactly he or CI Games defines DEI, which has become shorthand slang for things I don't like among some parts of video game fandom, nor did he offer any examples of games that failed due to their social or political...
Well, that's true, because they don't like DEI. So technically, DEI is things I don't like.
Agendas. Concord and Dustborn are commonly held up as examples of such, but the reality is that they're just two of literally thousands of games, 19,000 plus new games on Steam alone in 2024, that failed to find an audience over the past year. And in the case of Concord in particular, it arguably just wasn't a great game. We gave it a 40.
It's like I said, does any gamer care about Samus? Does any gamer care about Lara Croft? I don't think anyone cares.
5% in our review, and not because we didn't think the cast was white enough. So there's so many terrible points.
If it was released today, yes. Nobody cared about Stellar Blade. In fact, people were like, wow, this is sick. People loved it. Yeah, Nier Automata, sure, yeah. I just think that's debunked Tazuto?
Okay, so first of all, very pathetic by this journalist to try and pretend like Hill needs to define DEI when it's a self-describing acronym. And surely most of the people he's addressing, if not all of them, during that panel know what he's referring to when he's talking about those policies.
Tazuto says make the girls not white. How about Eve, Tazuto? She's not Asian? What about that? They look like anime, not Asian. So it's literally impossible to like fulfill your requirement. It's like, what do you need? Like, what do you need, bro? Like, oh my God. Alex from Half-Life wasn't white. Well, there you go. I don't understand seeing race in everything. It's crazy that like the first thing is like, yeah, but what race is the character? I'm like, dude, I literally don't care. I literally don't care. It's so weird to me that like people think that right away. That's crazy.
And it doesn't mean things I don't like. So it's something actually pretty ironic about the journalist getting mad at Hill for not defining that, as the journalist goes on to incorrectly explain what it means, and then essentially tries to make the argument that you can't criticize Concord and Dustborn because there's thousands of new games on Steam, and a lot of those fail to find an audience. Bruh, Concord and Dustborn were some of the biggest failures in gaming last year, especially Concord. And those can absolutely be analyzed and criticized. It doesn't matter, there were a bunch of other new games on Steam. And let me also rephrase too, Concord wasn't just one of the biggest failures last year. Of course, this is one of the biggest failures in gaming history. And then finally they say, we gave Concord a 45%, and not because we didn't think the cast was white enough. It's such a weird thing to say. Whoever wrote this article is like the exact sort of person who would be one of the Reddit mods that we were talking about a moment ago. 2 more paragraphs, then we'll wrap it up. He did unfortunately lend credence.
The other thing too is, to be honest, this is just how it is, okay? A lot of fantasy, medieval fantasy, high fantasy, they come from white Western culture. And that's why a lot of the times when we talk about knights and we talk about again, medieval fantasy, it's usually white because that's the culture of where it came from, obviously. And that's the reason why a lot of it is like that. And that's why when you have another area in the game that opens up that is based off of a different culture, a lot of the times you'll have them switch that up sometimes. Right. And then you have you have a samurai setting and it's mostly Japanese people in it. Right. Even if it's not even like a strictly Japan setting, like Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress, where it doesn't even really have to be Japan, but it takes place kind of in that culture. So a lot of the stuff is Japanese in it. Now, flip that around and think about like a show like One Piece, which takes place like all over the world, really. Like One Piece is kind of like the entire world. And you're going to different islands that have completely different cultures. People are completely different. Then, yeah, you'll have characters of all different races, right? Like Luffy is Brazilian, right?
To the ugly and patently false assertion that DEI is ruining gaming by, well, that's not really clear either. But that
literally nobody looks at One Piece and is like, ew, Luffy's Brazilian. Like literally nobody. There's not a single person that's like upset about that at all.
Doesn't matter. As a hot button buzzword among angry reactionary gamers, the DEI boogeyman doesn't need a definition. It's just
like, this is made up, Tazuto. Like this freaking hate. This hate that you're creating is made up. It's not real. Nobody cares.
Needs to stir up lizard brain emotions on the way to generating views. This seems like this
person's
talking about themselves. Like lizard brain emotions. This person is making an emotional, nonsensical argument. Like
Zolobal says, Leaflit, I would be thrilled to see African legends and tales because I've never heard of them and they would bring something fresh. Unfortunately, a lot of these tales were passed down orally in many countries in Africa, did not have the printing press to chronicle their stories. Yeah, and I mean, that's going to take like creators, right? It's going to take creators like reaching out and like trying to make stuff. But here's the problem. This is the irony of it. I know I'm already like so tangented on this video. I'm so sorry, but this is the problem, right? Let's say you're a creator. Say you're a Japanese manga artist and you're interested in, I don't know, the culture of people that live in Madagascar. I don't know if there's people in Madagascar. I'm just making this shit up, right? Now, if you were to like make a comic about it and there's even one thing wrong in there, you're going to get fucking crucified. That's the truth. And they're going to be like, oh, did you talk to someone who lives in Madagascar? Like, did you literally go to Madagascar and then fucking look up their, talk to the tribes that live in these hills? Did you actually talk to those people? It's like, it's kind of hard to do that, But you know what it's easy to do? It's like read a story about King Arthur, read Lord of the Rings. Like, that's fucking easy, right? This is the reason why. And you're creating this issue where people cannot even make something even tangentially based off of another culture without being called a Nazi or a racist. Where's the lie? And by doing that, people don't want to deal with it because they don't want to deal with that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Walt Disney tried to do that with African American folktales and was pillared as racist. I mean, there you go. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. This is some made up shit by people that have barely anything to do with the cultures. Either they're not even from the culture that they're upset about, or, you know, they weren't even raised there anyway. It's like, what the fuck are people even talking about? To be fair, Leaflit, we're getting some new shows based on African myths and legends. The trend seems to be changing somewhat. I mean, hopefully. We'll see. But all I'm saying is like I wouldn't want to deal with it, right? Like if I weren't already in this space of like pissing people off, like I wouldn't even want to deal with it.
DI is literally used in corporate and governmental policies. It's not a boogeyman. Like, what the frick? For those not familiar with this, by the way, I'll explain it really quickly. So oftentimes corporations use these so-called DI policies, which stands for diversity, equity, and inclusivity, as a way of making it seem like they're very good corporations and they care about good things. But the reality is they simply use these policies to increase what they have internally that's known as ESG metrics or an ESG score. This then directly allows them to turn around to things such as ESG capital funds and receive significant investments. Big surprise, it all comes down to money. At times, some of these companies that
Didn't they say white has no culture? That's just racist. That's just racist straight up.
These things are not even just huge corporations, but smaller companies too. For example,
and in a lot of the cases, when people say that, oh, white culture has no culture, you can just say, yeah, it does, and you're living in it. Where do you think you are?
The dev studio.
The fuck are people talking about?
Which, according to my recollection, was appealing to DEI policies and then even got a grant from the Norwegian government. We've also seen certain quote-unquote diversity consultation firms in the gaming space, which once again try and make it seem like they're these great firms, these great companies. But what they do is they promote this stuff because they receive grants from the government. For example, we've seen from a number of firms in Canada, which then get direct funding from the Canadian government. Now, of course, make your own opinion.
Like, I'm not even white. And American culture is my culture.
On this stuff, and I'm not speaking for, in this context, CI Games.
The hell are we talking about?
And the issues they may have with it. I'm simply speaking on my issues with it. But I don't like when corpos lie to my face, and I especially don't like when they lie to my face and try to act like they're on some virtuous moral high ground while they do it. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. This was more context on
like if there's that one woman in Japan. Do you remember like the Miss Japan like scandal that everyone's fucking pissed off about? She's more Asian than I am, probably.
People mad at CI Games and the stuff that they're saying and all that. So we had some examples over on
She's
Reddit
turbo white
from the Gaming Star Jerk subreddit, from the mods over at Lords
culturally at least,
and a gaming journalist article.
People need to be able to divorce like your biological ethnicity from like the actual culture. It's not the same thing.
I'm still in a bit of disbelief what I just read there. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to wrap the segment up here. Let me know what you think about the anger from these people and how CI Games and Lords of the Fallen are still seeing success despite that, once again, with 2.0 for their game Lords of the Fallen, now getting from 500 concurrent players to over 10,000 concurrent players. Hope you enjoyed my coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Look forward to seeing you in the comments.
I'm like kind of in the middle, to be honest, Mikichi, because my family is my family is like basically like the first generation. So it's like I'm kind of in the middle. Like I still have a lot of aspects of basically when you're the first generation born in like America, you're gonna have a little bit still of the other culture. But yeah, of course.
And in the next one.
Anyway. That was a Hero Hei video about man, we went on a fat tangent there. I'm sorry to the editors, guys. I apologize. I'll link you guys the video.